So it's been a while, but we're talking about another Marvel film today because there's been one released over the weekend, which is nice. So we're going to get this review out nice and early. Hopefully, I'm going to get it up today. So yeah, Captain America: Brave New World released this weekend. To very, very mixed opinions across the board. I think it's been a big topic of discussion, hasn't it? So do you want to give your opinions first, or what are we doing today?
Yeah, I can give opinions first. I'll do general thoughts. I enjoyed it. I think the hate is a little strong. I can see the hate. I can understand the dislike for this film.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's still like a little harsh. I think it's nice to see Marvel kind of coming back to like an overarching story. Like this really felt like the first time since, no, I'm going to say it, but since Endgame that we've actually got a story going.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more going on, and it's a lot more focused, and it feels like this was on not exactly the same. This is not a comparison, but it felt like an Iron Man for this next generation. Yeah. Like it felt like we should have had this to sort of start setting up the new stuff. It felt like a lot of the newest films are just films. As much as we've enjoyed them,
yeah,
they've just been out there. Like they just kind of, the film, it exists, things happen, and we move on.
Yeah.
And nothing's ever felt connected. Whereas it feels like we're back on the train of connecting things. It's all sort of leading to the bigger films. Yes. So yeah, I think it does a lot right, and I can see what's wrong with it, but I think it does more right than it does wrong for me.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I pretty much exactly agree with that, really. I walked out of this kind of wondering why people are hating it so much. Like, again, I can see the issues. There's a lot of glaring issues, which I'll get into later, but once I came out of it, I felt pretty positive about it, I'll be honest. I think I just enjoy the Captain America storyline anyway, so I don't think there was really any chance I was going to hate it, but I was surprised when I came out with how much I ended up enjoying it. I think sorry, I've got a cold, so I sound like shit, but I think there's a lot of... The action scenes are really exciting through the book. Like, there's not that many of them, but when they're there, they're very good. I think Anthony Mackie's very good, kind of starts to hold his own finally in this franchise. Sort of. I know, we'll get into it. But it, again, like you said, it just feels like it almost feels like a good stepping stone, which I don't know how much of a compliment that is for a film of this caliber, but it did. It felt like a good stepping stone into what we're going to happen next, and it kind of feels like finally we know where this is going, who's going to be in those next big team-up films, and why. So, for the most part, I had a pretty good time with this. I was quite surprised with how much I ended up enjoying it.
Good.
Cool. So yeah,
no, I completely agree.
Yeah, we'll get into some more like spoilery stuff and kind of what we did and didn't like a bit more. There's not really much to spoil though, is there really?
No.
I mean, everything you saw in the trailer was the film. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why I can understand the criticism, because it's kind of all built around Red Hulk. But we've seen Red Hulk, and it's typical Marvel, isn't it? It's kind of what they're known for now, is they kind of ruin their films with spoilers now. Yeah. So it did feel like slightly anticlimactic, really, because the whole film you're building up to something's wrong with I can't remember his name, not Harrison Ford's character. There's something wrong with him. Something's not quite right. Something's going on. Yeah. What's he going to turn into? And it's like we all know you've shown us
the whole
to be like
the whole marketing was Red Hulk. Yeah.
Yeah, so for that to be like the big reveal was a bit like, okay, cool. Like I didn't really see the point. It's basically this film, right? Is if this was The Incredible Hulk 2, I think people would have loved this film a lot more.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it's Captain America. It felt like The Incredible Hulk 2 with Captain America there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So I think if you're judging this on, for me personally, the worst part of this film was Captain America.
Yeah.
Like I just don't care about his character. I just find him a bit boring, and I say to you, I liked the fact that they were very obvious with the things they were saying. Like it was very much like this film is very much them going, this is not Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
I know that you're not Steve Rogers. I understand that you're not this superhuman person. You're just a human being that's trying to do their best, that's got these gadgets and all this. And it's like, that's cool.
Yeah.
But there's just nothing to his character.
Yeah.
Like, we've got another human character in Hawkeye who I love.
Yeah.
Like, I could watch anything with him because I feel like he's got depth. Like, things have happened to him. And he's slightly deaf now. Like things
I forgot about that
with him all the time. And he's like, things have happened to him. He's gone through some shit, and now he's a bit more rugged. He's a bit more broken. He's a bit more like, there's more to love about him.
Yeah.
Whereas like with what's his name, Sam Wilson?
Yes. That's it.
Yeah, with him, it's just like. He's trying to be. It's weird, isn't it? 'Cause it feels like they're trying to make him Steve Rogers Captain America, whilst not making him Steve Rogers Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, he's basically exactly the same, but every so often he'll just go shit.
Yeah.
There's too much shit in this film.
I agree.
It got annoying. He drops it like 4 times during this film, and it was like, okay, like, it feels like they're like, oh, look, he's a bit edgy, but nothing. We watched 2 hours of a film and nothing really changed from the start to the finish.
Yeah.
Like, there was no growth.
No,
Nothing really happened with him. So it's a bit like, because of the fact it's a Captain America film, I can understand people being like, this is a bad Captain America film.
Yes,
because it is. As just for the character of Captain America, it's a bad Captain America film.
I can agree with that.
So I can understand, that's where I can understand the dislike of this film.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everything else around it was great. So it's tricky, isn't it? It's a tricky one. Like, I have no interest in seeing Sam Wilson as a leader going forward. Like, I don't. I'm saying to you, I don't. If we never got another Captain America standalone film, I wouldn't mind.
No.
I don't really care about seeing another standalone Captain America film.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm happy for him to be part of teams, but he's not. I don't want him to be the leader of teams.
Of course.
Which, unfortunately, I think we're going to get, but I don't want him to be.
No, very fair, very fair.
That's my main criticism.
Yeah, I mean, going back to him, I think they do a decent enough job with the argument of he doesn't have the super serum, which I'm kind of glad they touched upon in this film, because it needed to be touched upon. And it's kind of like where I think he says he should have taken it, or he wishes he'd taken it, but obviously to kind of go toe-to-toe with a Hulk as a human being was kind of like, oh, okay, I see. So it kind of unfortunately sets him up as this almost like a god of a man, because he's obviously going to go up against really big villains coming forward. We know who's coming, like, you know, it's obvious who's coming.
Yeah.
And to see this Captain America, who is just a guy, go up against someone like that, that's going to be bonkers. So I'm kind of... That's the bit that worries me, because obviously Steve had it, and then we realised then he was obviously worthy of a lot of other things, do you know what I mean? Which is great. But so far with this character, that does not exist. This is just a man, do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, I really like Anthony Mackie as this character, or as Sam Wilson. Mm-hmm. Not Captain America so much, but as Sam Wilson, I like him. But it just kind of feels like they don't really know what they're doing with him, apart from now, spoilers again, if you haven't seen the film yet, you know, whatever, but he is very clearly about to be the leader of Avengers 2.0. You know, let's be honest, that's what they're doing.
Yeah,
so to kind of have him go from Falcon to now this, and now all of a sudden he's going to be the leader, I think that something was missing. And I know we had a whole TV show for him, but I still feel like something's missing. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird one. And yeah, and that's where I can agree with the dislike, because it just feels like they've just gone, you're Captain America now, you're the leader. And I'm like, I don't know about that personally. I think my favourite element of this film is the Incredible Hulk 2 stuff, because I didn't really know it was going to be a sequel to Incredible Hulk, and now I really love that film. I love the Incredible Hulk from 2008. I think it's a really solid early MCU film. So to see them finally picking up threads from way back then, I think that was cool, but it also shows that they haven't forgotten about storylines that we may have think they've forgotten about. So whether it takes a year or 10 years, they're going to pick up on these threads at some point, which I thought was kind of cool. What did you feel about the leader, the villain of the film?
As in the big brain fella?
Yes, yeah.
fine. I think all the villains in this were underutilized completely.
Yeah.
I think Sidewinder was fantastic, and they kind of like got rid of him like halfway through the film.
That was painful. That was painful.
Okay. Yeah. Like that was, and I mean, I feel like he's going to be something going forward. I think he's going to end up almost on a Thunderbolt-esque team of some sort. I feel like he's going to be there because I mean, it's I can't remember the man's name.
Giancarlo Esposito. You can't just cast him and have him do nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's another guy who does all producing, isn't it? I always get those confused. There's another Despacito.
Yeah.
And I'm always a bit like, I can't remember, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, you've got him in it, and if he definitely is going to be maybe a villain / anti-hero sort of thing going forward. But he was fantastic. And then we just kind of, it was a cool callback, and it was something that, like, unfortunately, I kind of got spoiled for me, but I'm kind of glad because I can remember who he was anyway.
Okay.
So I kind of like, they showed the photo, and then I was like, oh, it's him.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of a cool callback, and it was. He's just there, and what are you going to do with him going forward?
Yeah,
is the biggest problem. Because it was cool that he kind of set up this thing. Who's like trying to be all like, I'm going to create a huge world war, and I enjoyed his motives and what he did and why he did these things. But again, it kind of finished. You're going, okay, you realistically, you've accomplished nothing.
Yeah,
like you're supposed to be the smartest man in the world, knowing all the probabilities and being like almost 100% accurate on what you think is going to happen, and everything you thought was going to happen didn't happen. Yeah, which is kind of what I think they were kind of going for. That look, this Captain America like overcomes the odds. Like it doesn't matter what you throw at him, he will always overcome them. And it's like, well, not really. Yeah. Like he blew a few rockets up and told a Hulk, look, we're in with this and blossoms here. Yeah. Like, it's not. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's pretty much all you did, really. Mm-hmm. It's a bit like, okay, it was another cool callback, and it was nice to see they did something with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, just mega anticlimactic, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, maybe I just had nostalgia goggles on through the whole time because it was kind of nice to see Tim Blake Nelson come back as that character. His design's a little bit odd, it's cool enough. The comic accurate version I think would have looked he does. I think the comic accurate version would have looked better because he just has a huge head, and I think that would have looked better if anything. But I enjoyed him for the most part, but there was no sense of dread with him at all. I mean, it was just kind of cool to see the actor back. I think that was kind of why I liked him. But I do kind of I liked the third act mainly, where he was talking to Thunderbolt Ross and like starting to get him to change, because another big spoiler is you don't get Red Hulk until the last 10 minutes of this film, you know what I mean? Let's be honest. It's a very cool scene, and we'll get onto that, but I kind of liked how he was speaking in his ear the whole time and like starting this rage up. When we started that's where I was like, okay, I'm quite locked into this now, and I'm looking forward to see where it goes. I think the next element we should talk about is Falcon's replacement. How do you feel about New Falcon?
Yeah.
I really liked him, not gonna lie, I thought he was great.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just a bit bland. Yes. Like, they're both just a bit bland. Like, it's just bland characters. Like, he was just the cocky kid who's pretty good at stuff. He's pretty cool. And that's all it really was to him. Like, I understand, look, it's the first film for him. I'm not expecting him to be like this, this incredible like arc for him or whatever. And it was quite cool to see him, what he's going to do going forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of felt, for me, it felt slightly like ham-fisted in them being like, the whole thing was him being like, I want to be friends like Ant-Man. I love all these Avengers and blah, blah, blah. And then in the end, he's like, I just want to be you, man. It's like, oh, fuck off.
That was really cringe. That was so fucking cringe.
It was.
Yeah.
And it just feels like they're trying really hard for it to be like, look, I'm a human being. I can do all these incredible things. Yeah. And it's like, you have Hawkeye. You have a man who's been doing this way before Falcon, who's been fighting aliens and shit way before Falcon, and you do it well with him.
Yeah.
Like, his arc has been fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you still, at no point has he ever been like, I'm a human, how the hell am I going to fight these aliens?
Yeah.
Whereas it feels like that's kind of what we're doing with this Captain America.
Yeah.
Sort of like with him and the Falcon, they're sort of like, oh, we're just human beings, and we're like incredibly like courageous and amazing, wahoo! And it's like, okay, but just do something, like you know what I mean? Like as you said, coming up against when eventually Doom's coming in, as we all know is going to happen. Like realistically,
you're dead.
Doom should kill him.
Yeah,
most of these people. And he even brings it up. Does he? He even there like, oh yeah, Red Hulk. He's like, I know if you punch me, I'm going to die. So it's like if this whole thing is building up, and he dies, I'm on board with it.
Yeah.
Stupid as that sounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I kind of see what you would do in here, because the whole thing is he's just a man.
Mm-hmm.
So what is he going to do? So if they build him up to this, and then eventually a big villain comes in and just kills him, I'd be like, okay, cool. I kind of board it, but yeah, like I mean, he's kind of cool, I guess, that Joaquin. But again, he's just sort of generic wahoo, person. You're like, okay.
Yeah, he is. He does kind of feel like a really generic, glorified sidekick, doesn't he? I think the one bit I liked, obviously the big action scene of this film is kind of the aerial fight for the adamantium with the Celestial. Very cool action scene. Again, it was very Top Gun-esque, wasn't it? It was very much like that. But I think
100%.
It kind of gave away a big like character point for Joaquin now, where if Captain America comes under danger in the next film, he's going to jump in front of the bullet for him. Like, that was so obvious, do you know what I mean? Because obviously he does that thing, doesn't he, to try and save someone and nearly dies himself in this film. His first film, and he nearly dies. But they're kind of setting him up to be that guy of like, I'll take the bullet for you, and I'm just like, that's fine, but do we have to see that right now? Like, that was like his one character thing of, I will do it for you. Okay, that's fine, but I don't know. I think with a little more, like maybe a few more appearances as Falcon, he could end up being really good. And I kind of liked the cocky attitude of him. What I didn't like was how badly written his comedic lines were. They were just so painfully unfunny. Something happened, I can't remember what it was, and the cinema was silent. And I was like, oh fuck, that was so awkward. This film didn't, and like, to be fair, it doesn't have much comedy, which I was very grateful for. But the comedic moments are just not funny in the slightest. Like, there's not a funny moment in this film, is there? So let's be honest. And it was kind of painful.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, I find, like, their chemistry wasn't great for me. Like, I think when you see the difference between him and, I don't know, it's comparison again, but what I'm saying is the difference between Falcon and Steve Rogers felt like friends.
Yes.
Like, when they were together, you could kind of feel that, as much as obviously Bucky and Steve was like, you could tell they were like had a history and all that.
Yeah.
Even generally when Falcon, same when they had the Winter Soldier and Falcon, the series, they feel like friends. They could feel like they could bouncing off each other, and it kind of works. Whereas this, I don't know what it was. Like, it just felt a bit odd. Like, that's me. I can't buy Stan Wilson as like the leader guy. I think
I agree.
As just the
support,
mate, rather than him being like, you should follow me. And it's like, it doesn't work. Like, it felt off. And I understand it's supposed to be off because they've been friends for like 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
So I guess it is kind of on them, really.
Yeah, I agree. I want to talk about my favourite element of this film now, which for me was Isaiah Bradley, the old Captain America that was like used back in the day. That character, for me, that is one of my favourite Marvel characters now. Like, he has cemented himself as one of my favourites. I don't know the actor's name. I didn't look it up beforehand. I wish I did. But he is so good as this character, because you can feel the sadness in him, and it makes me very sad. Do you know what I mean? That bit where they're in the White House and they're taking pictures, it's just really wholesome. That bit when you get Captain America, Falcon, and Isaiah Bradley together felt like friends, and I was like, this is a good relationship. I like this. Then you get the whole action scene of he tries to kill President Ross. That bit was amazing. Genuinely, I was loving that part. And the more you see Isaiah Bradley behind, in prison and all that storyline is so fucking solid. I loved it. So good.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And again, like, that's kind of mad, isn't it? That realistically, he gets, 15 to 20 minutes of screen time in his 2-hour film?
Yeah.
And there's more character depth to him than there was in the Falcon?
100%.
So it's like, it's kind of like, okay, it's doable. But yeah, no, I really liked him, and I'd love to see more of him going forward. I feel like we probably will get more of him going forward. It feels like this... Yeah, it felt like this sort of trio with possibly Sidewinder or someone could be like a team,
yeah.
for the big wars.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did really like him. There was, as much as I'd be sitting there going, this is rubbish, I enjoyed everything
Yeah.
around him. Like he was, again, Isaiah was a great highlight. Same with Harrison Ford, like as his sort of portrayal of, because I like the fact originally it kind of addressed the whole like, oh, he doesn't have a mustache now, and they were like, you look a little different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like straight away.
It was a clever little joke.
It's kind of obvious. It's kind of a shame. Is he still? What was there a reason why?
He died. William Hurt died, unfortunately. Like, so sad, because he was such a great actor. So they couldn't have picked anyone better to pass it to than Harrison Ford. And for once, it looked like Harrison Ford actually wanted to do a role, which was phenomenal, because he was really fucking good in this film. Yeah, he was so good. I was really glad to see it, and you can tell like he almost looked like he was having fun for once in his career, in his late career, which is great. And I think this is a right move, Harrison Ford. Now, I think for as long as they can keep him, because Harrison Ford is not a young man anymore, do you know what I mean? Let's be honest. But for as long as they can keep him, I hope they use him more and more and more.
Yeah, I think we might get like 2 or 3 films out of him, possibly. I think the big ones we'll probably get to see him a bit more. But yeah, no, he was fantastic, and I think like his sort of thing from going from presidency to where he ended up was kind of crazy. Like, and it's quite fascinating, that story, because obviously now America no longer has a president. So how all that's going to work going forward is going to be quite fascinating.
True.
But yeah, no, I thought he was great, and all of his sort of like story and the stuff that was going on with him, and you know, all the stuff he was doing with the big brain fella. I can remember his name,
the leader.
The leader, yeah. So all the stuff he was doing with him, and even like his team. Like, I really liked his team as much as the Black Widow-y woman was a bit like.
This was the next character. Really, I wanted to get into was they're kind of shoehorning in this new Black Widow, aren't they? Let's be honest. And I just couldn't click. I couldn't click onto it. I just couldn't.
No, she was just there, really, wasn't she? Like, she hasn't got that, like, I don't know what it was, really.
No personality for me.
Unfortunately, you're going up against you're going up against Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Like, they are superstars, aren't they? You know, like, these are, like, you know, 2 of the biggest actors in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So, like, going up against them, it's like, fine. It felt a bit like we didn't really need another, like, widow of sorts.
No.
She was fine. She had that one scene which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the time she was just kind of there, wasn't she?
Yeah, I think that's one of the bigger issues with the film. So I'm going to kind of get into a bit more of my negatives now, because I feel like I've actually been kind of glazing this thing. But my negatives really were, as much as I enjoyed a lot of the support characters, this almost felt like Avengers, the setup. Like, do you know what I mean? It didn't feel like a Captain America film. It felt like they're going, look, here's Captain America, here's Falcon, here's Hulk, and here's the new Black Widow. And I'm like, right, slow down. We don't need that many characters right now. And that's where I don't think they juggled that very well. I think they put a lot of work into the support characters, like I said, Isaiah Bradley, Thunderbolt Ross being very good, but everyone else just kind of fell by the wayside. And then the biggest spoiler of the film, you get a little cameo from Bucky Barnes, which is great, but again, it almost just felt like they went, look, have Bucky, because we don't know what else to do here. And I think that's where the reshoots came in, because I don't believe Bucky Barnes was supposed to be here, I'll be honest. And it just felt like they were like, right, Sebastian Stan's here, let's just chuck him in for a minute and get him in, because everyone loves Bucky. And don't get me wrong, it worked. When he came on screen, I was like, wait! But it just, it was just a bit like, why are we doing this for like 5 seconds? It almost felt like they needed that conversation between Bucky and Sam just to be like, yeah, you're good, you're Captain America. I mean, you need to prove yourself, really, not just tell us you're Captain America. So, good cameo, bad reasoning for me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I agree with everything you said. Like, and again, that's mainly what it comes back to, isn't it? Is that they're struggling to get Sam Wilson over as Captain America.
100%.
That's what's really happening here, and I think that's that's kind of where a majority of the reshoots probably came from. Is a majority of them were probably just reaffirming, like the Bucky, and there was probably other scenes where they're like reaffirming him, being like having other bigger characters being like, it's okay, buddy, you are that guy, like, you know.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know how they go about this really. I mean, unless like something massive happens with the whole Doomsday stuff where he kind of proves himself. 'Cause that's kind of what Steve did, really, wasn't it? And I mean, with Steve going up against Red Skull as the first guy, you're like, okay, this is sick. Whereas like, you know, he fought him, he beat him, as much as like obviously things happened to him, but he went up against the guy and beat him.
Yeah.
Whereas like Falcon never wins a fight.
No.
In this entire thing.
Yeah.
Really, outside of just a guy.
Yeah.
You know, the random soldiers he beats up and stuff. He never beats up a big bad. Like we have 3 big bads. He has that one fight with the drop kick, which is quite cool against Sidewinder.
Yeah.
But again, like you just beat up an old.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not. You know, like as you said, you need to kind of prove it. So unless they do something big with him come Doomsday, it's tricky, enough. It's difficult, but I completely agree with everything you said, though.
Yeah.
I think the reshoots are really trying to fist him.
Yeah, and I mean, another issue with the reshoots, as far as I'm aware, it could have just been in general, but the CGI in this film, for me, is arguably one of the worst examples of CGI I've seen in years. Like, Quantumania looks kind of bad at times. Like, the world looks good, but there's a lot of bad green screening in that film. This, I think, has the worst green screening I've ever fucking seen in my life. There's that bit in the end where Sam Wilson and Red Hulk are having their scrap, and it's a very cool fight. It's a super, super cool fight. I love the whole thing. But you get that scene where I think he's just like stabbed Red Hulk with the wing in the side, and then he's like trying to talk him down to come back to being Thunderbolt Ross, and you can so clearly see that he's just stood in front of a wall with like a green screen on it, and it looks fucking atrocious. Like there's no sense of reality in these anymore. Like, not that I want these films to be super realistic. I kind of like when they go bombastic and a bit nuts, but to have a literal simple background of cherry blossoms and a sunrise, and it looks so bad, I don't understand where. And this film, what was it, reportedly 200 mil budget, I think? Where did that go?
Yeah, something like that.
Excuse me?
I don't know.
But where did that go?
Yeah, and I mean, it's been highly advertised how badly shot this film was, like with the reshoots, and they've cancelled stuff and they've got rid of people, and there's been a complete mess of a production.
It has.
So the fact that this is what we've got out of it is kind of a minor miracle.
It is,
really.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, like I think it should have been a lot worse than it actually turned out. The fact we got, firstly, a competent film, and secondly, a film that feels like a proper reset for Marvel. Feels like we're kind of back on the sort of, we've got to go. We all know where we're going. They've introduced loads of characters. We're all kind of going the same way. We know what they're setting up. The fact that we got this out of this mess of a film is kind of a minor miracle. I kind of, in that sense, I do kind of feel bad for Anthony Mackie as Captain America, really, because this has been a complete train wreck. And the Captain America franchise before this, well, the Steve Rogers Captain America 3 films are 3 of the best in Marvel. So it's like an impossible task, isn't it, really? So yeah, I do kind of feel bad for the guy that he's got to kind of contest with this. It's more for the fans, though, because I think, you know, within the Marvel universe, I'm 100% confident, like, Hemsworth isn't going to be like, you're not my Captain America, sorry. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they're all sound with it, like, and he's, you know,
well, they're all there counting their money. That's all they're doing. They don't give a fuck. Do you know what I mean? They're there counting, going.
And unfortunately, you know, he's kind of come out and been quite obvious about the fact that he's like, I'm Anthony Mackie. I don't know why people call me Falcon. Blah blah blah. So he's been. I think people have had their backs up with him for a while anyway, fan base wise. So I think like the drops one, I guess, as well is a bit like.
Yeah.
Come on in, buddy. Do you know what I mean? Like, for you to be like, I don't really care about the whole character thing. I'm just an actor. And then to be like, now I'm Captain America. Are we supposed to believe it? It's a bit...
Yeah.
It's an uphill battle.
100%.
It's kind of a shame for him, really.
Yeah, and I don't know if this makes makes the film good or not, but as soon as I watched it,
Yeah.
I just wanted to go back and rewatch the trilogy beforehand, and I don't know if that makes me go, oh, I love Captain America, or I go, I miss Chris Evans, I need him back, do you know what I mean? And obviously, if the rumors are real, then Chris Evans will be returning somehow in the next Avengers films, and I mean, I will get up, absolute cinema, I'll clap, do you know what I mean? I'll be there, because unfortunately, you know, we grew up with that character for so long, to now kind of replace it and kind of go in a new play in a brave new world is it's something in it, you know what I mean? But the last thing to touch on really is the post-credit scene, and it fucking sucks. Like, I'm sorry, it's rubbish.
Yeah, it's an odd one, isn't it? Because they're basically going, Secret Wars is coming. That's all they're doing.
That's really, literally what it was.
It's basically the brain fella going like, hey, you know,
something's coming.
Isn't the only world, and it's like, yeah, we are fully aware. Yeah. Like, we killed Thanos, and Thanos came back. Like, we are 1,000,000% aware that this isn't the only world. Like, I mean, like, Falcon was there. You remember that big fight? He was there the entire time. So why we're kind of doing this whole like this other world? Yep. That's right, buddy.
I just wish that even if he had gone like Doom is coming, I would have gone great. Or if like fucking you saw like a little sneak peek of the Fantastic Four or something, I would have been like great. But it just felt like I waited the whole credits to see someone go, "War's coming." Yeah, I know it is, but that's why I'm watching this film. Do you know what I mean? Very silly, but
Egypt looked at the back and went, "This is what's coming, guys."
Yeah, I know, it's so weird. But for the most part, I actually enjoyed it. I think I'm not in a rush to rewatch it anytime soon. Don't get me wrong, but I came home and I noticed I was thinking about it more than I have recently. So I think that kind of proved itself that I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, because obviously we had the conversation, we had no anticipation for it at all, like we didn't care about it, so to come out and go, I quite enjoyed that, I think that's a pretty positive on my side really, and I don't think all the hate is completely warranted. Some of it, yeah, absolutely, but people just going, it's shit. It's not, it's really not shit. Like, if you like Marvel films, this is kind of the mid-tier Marvel film, but that's not bad. Yeah. I kind of hope we get back to good Marvel films constantly, which would be great. But for right now, for where we're going, I'm not annoyed that this is more of a mid-tier film. And that's it, really. So rating-wise, I'm going 3.5.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was going to go 3.5 as well.
Fantastic. Look at that.
I completely agree with everything you said. It's just about a mid-tier. And I mean, like, if we're being 100% honest, Marvel has never been consistently good.
No, I think
we have never gone.
Phase 1 was probably
stretch.
Do you know what I mean? But even that had Iron Man 2.
Yeah, it's solid. Yeah, it's solid. Yeah, it had a. Hey, it was a great film in the Marvel Universe. Iron Man 2 was fuck you. But yeah, no, it's still solid. Like, I'm sure there are people that go, Thor 1 didn't really care for it.
Yeah.
So it's better, but it's not. We've never really had like a 5-6 run of films for Marvel Universe that we've gone, holy shit, they are banger after banger after banger after banger. It's kind of like we've got to filter through some ones to get to the bangers.
Plus it's always going to come down to opinion as well. Not everyone's going to love the same film, so does that even really count? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Weird.
No, I think it does a lot. It does a lot more right than it does wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm very much looking forward to the rest of the year, to be honest with you. I think Thunderbolts, as much as when it first came out, we were like, this looks stupid.
Yeah.
Now I'm very much excited for it. It looks fantastic. From the trailer, Marvel have actually sold me in it, so well done there, Marvel. I will not be watching no more trailers.
No, because they did another one, didn't they?
Look, it's all the people. I'd be like, no, I don't want to see them.
Yeah, because obviously,
let me watch the film and then see things.
In the first trailer, they showed like the character of Sentry who's going to be around, and then I didn't watch the second trailer, but I think they showed him more in action. I don't want to see that. I want to wait till I see the film. So I'm going to avoid that trailer like the plague.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
No, I agree.
And then also you've got Fantastic Four towards the end of the year, which is going to be.
Well, I mean, July is going to be absolutely stacked because we've got Fantastic Four, Jurassic Park, and Superman in 1 month. That is fucking horrendous. Do you know what I mean? Those 3 films are obviously going to be the highest grossing films of the year as well. You know what I mean?
Or Superman, like.
I think Jurassic World's coming out on top of that, if I'm being totally honest, but we'll see.
Do you reckon?
Money-wise, yeah. Dinosaurs sell, man.
We'll
Dinosaurs
see.
sell.
They do.
But yeah, there we go. That's our little take on Captain America: Brave New World. If you haven't seen it yet, please just go out and make your own opinion. Don't just read everything online, because people have a knack to just hate on Marvel these days. I get it, but it's not cool, man. Like, at this point, we're so over the joke now that it's gone back to being really stupid. So just go out, either enjoy it, don't enjoy it, but make your own opinion. That's all I can say. What have you got for us? But any questions for us?
Any questions? Tell me.
Just Zach, don't tell me. Just tell him.
What kind of Hulk you would be.
What kind of Hulk you'd be? I'd be a pink one.
If you could be a Hulk, what colour do you think you would go?
What?
That's a good one, isn't it? That's a great question.
The lilac Hulk, please. Amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd go for like a blue, I think.
Ooh, very
blue,
nice.
Nice aqua, yeah. Nice aqua Hulk.
Nice aqua Hulk. But yeah, thank you very much. The socials will be on the end screen, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.